Hey, welcome back. I just want to say thank you. Much love, much love. I love the comments that are coming in. I love the reception. It's awesome. And you guys love story times, huh? Story time. So guess what? We're going to do stories. Well, at least tonight we're going to do a story. You guys want to know how I met the girl's mom? That was a big thing. Hey, how did you meet Gabby and Danny's mom? How'd you get to point A to point B? Okay, before I can get into that, let me tell you a little something. When I was 9, my sister, who I love dearly still because she's still around, she is 9 years older than me. And for some reason I had this bond with her because she was the oldest child, and she, my mom was struggling doing her thing. She didn't have a lot of time to spend with me. My sister picked up that slack, and I spent a lot of time with my sister. But for some unknown reason, when I was 9 and she was 16, she left home. You know why she left home, folks? You guessed it. 1, 2, 3. She left home for a dude. She left me alone for a dude. So my mom had to come in, pick that little vacuum up, and I started spending a lot of time with my mom. So there was always this female presence in my life. Even though I had 2 older brothers, but it was always the woman who was always the glue to my life. All this time I spent with my mom, I realized I like women. I like the vibe that they give, and I just like being around them more than dudes. I played sports. I had teammates and all that guys, but it was always the woman who I felt was always the glue for me. They intellectually, they were more stimulating to talk to than men. So I always gravitated to women. I just like hanging out with women. And at some point in time, I read this article, right? I don't even know where I found it. It was an article about men and why men get married. I was like 14. I was 14 when I read this article, and it said that 19% of men, that's a pretty high number, 19% of men get married so they can have a regular sex partner. Not for love, not to reproduce, to have kids, to carry on their names, to go on for generation to generation, but to have a regular sex partner. And I said, I'm not having sex, that's cool. Maybe I should get married someday, so I might have myself a regular sex partner. So so at 14, that started circulating. So my whole process changed. Then when I got to high school, there was not as many dances in high school as there were in junior high school. So that socialization of being around women was not as accessible as it was in junior high school. I used to love me some junior high school dances, but in high school, for some reason, there was not so much. There was the occasional house party, but there was always some uptight parent upstairs and always coming down. Some dad who thought that his daughter was gonna get slam bam by some dude, was always hanging around. So it was never the same vibe as the dance. So we went through that phase, but still, no girl. And so I went through the whole same BS in high school, being that friggin' safety. The safe house. Folks, call me Safe House Joe, all right? I went to bed at night. I didn't want to be Safe House Joe, but that's who I was. I was Safe House Joe. And I was Safe House Joe until graduation, high school graduation, all right? I lived in this building. I lived in this building. It was kind of ghetto, but they had a community room down in the basement, and my parents decided to throw me a little graduation party down in the basement the night of my graduation. And this young lady, shall we say, who lived on the 7th floor. I lived on the 12th floor. She lived on the 7th. She was like 17, right? And she had a kid, and she had her own apartment in the building. Woo! So she comes up to me, she says, why don't you swing through later? I'm like, wow. Woo. Guess what I did? I swung through. I swung through. I was 18, she was 17, her baby was sleeping in the other room. Folks, failed. I failed. I swung through, but I didn't swing through, if you know what I mean. So I had that experience, and My parents sent me off to college like that. Let me tell you something. Don't ever send your son off to college like that. Until one day, this buddy of mine, this dude from Chicago, right? He found out that I was still that guy who hadn't become a man yet. So I had a group of about 10 boys who decided that their mission in life was to make me a man. Made me a man. They tried hard. And through the process, you know what I discovered? I started to like fill out, you know, started to bulk up, and women started looking at me differently. I was no longer the safe house. I was Joe Rock. That was my new nickname. They gave me a nickname called Joe Rock from a Flintstone character, Joe Rockhead. And so around campus, I became Joe Rock. I was like cool all of a sudden. And girls wanted to like, they didn't want me to be a safe house. They wanted me to be that man. I was like, damn. So more women just came through. And I just got into it. And, but, I still had morals, you know? I still had morals. I liked the attention. I liked the new attention. And I knew that they had different ideas of what they wanted me to do, but I still had values, all right? I still had values. And I just had one girl through my whole time in college. I just had one girl because I dug her, and that's who I was. But I played a lot. And what does that mean? You can be a player and not sleep with everybody you mess with. It's just like, it's just building that reputation. When you're 19, 20, it's all about reputation. You know, my boys thought I was finishing a deal with everybody. I wasn't, because I still had, what folks? Values. Okay. So what does this have to do with me meeting the girls' moms? Everything. So I get done with college, right? And now I start hanging out with my older brother, my late older brother. He was 6 years older than me. He introduced me to fashion. I was now able to go to clubs. I just turned 21. And he took me to a store. It's no longer on Filene's. I bought my first pair of expensive shoes. Paid $75 for a pair of floor sign shoes. The kicks were, they were nasty. So we started going out. You know what I noticed is going out? Women like me. They all come up. I'm like, oh my God, me, oh, woo. And one night, I was in the club with my brother. And I was kind of clean cut back then, right? It was kind of clean cut. Had a little something up top, faded to the side. You know, I used to wear the V-neck sweaters, nice pants. I've always been a boot man. I used to wear like suede boots. Oh, picture this, folks. I'm talking about like the early 80s. I was on point. I had no money, but I was on point. The little money I had, I spent it wisely, all right? I looked very expensive. Had no money, but I looked expensive, all right? So I walk in the club and girls will be, oh, that brother's got something going on. I might have walked in the club with like $10 in my pocket, but I didn't know that. I looked good. So anyway, so this one night, right? I've always been black. I've always been, you know, the whole black thing going on. So I had this black sweater on. It's like January, some shit like that. I'm in a club. My brother's over there doing this thing, and I'm doing my thing. And I noticed this chick looking at me. I look back at her. I said, "What up?" You know, she didn't say anything. I said, "Okay, you're lost, girl. All right, you're lost, man." So I go off and I do my thing. So, a couple months later, right, my other brother and I, we go to a place that's no longer around. They used to host live events, right? And Grandmaster Flash. Or it was Grandmaster Melly Mel, whatever. They were playing at this club in Boston. So I go with my brother. And, you know, I'm 22 now. Full ass man. I'm a full grown man. You know, I don't have my black sweater on, but I'm still looking good. You know, still got, right now I've graduated. I probably have like about $20 in my pocket right now. It's still looking like I got a lot. I said to my brother, watch this. So I follow her, and my brother's following me because he wants to watch this. He wants to see what his younger brother has learned over the years. So I walk up to this chick, I say, yo. She turns around, and I go, woo, boom. And this was not even a line. So I say to her, I said, have I seen you somewhere before? And she's like, oh. I said, yeah, I've seen you somewhere before. Yeah. Then one and one started to come together. And she goes, yeah, I think I've seen you before. And then she says, were you at so-and-so place like a few months ago wearing a black sweater with gray suede boots? I'm like, damn, this girl remembered the color of my gray suede boots. I said, yeah, girl, that was me. So that was it. That was it. Done deal. She was on my tip ever since, you know. Back then there was no cell phones, there was nothing like that. So we hung out the whole night. She hung up on my shoulder because she was a little thing, and you know, she wanted to see the stage, and I was the man. I said, you know what, girl, I'm gonna get you up to the front, but you need to hang on to me, all right? Because there's a lot of thugs out here, you know. But if you're with me, you're good, all right? So she hangs on to me. We get up close to the stage all night, blah 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 blah. I didn't buy her a drink though because I didn't have that kind of money, you know. So anyway, walk her out to a ride. At the end of the night, she writes her number on a piece of paper. I said, okay. And I write my number on a piece of paper. So, I don't know, that was like a Thursday night. So Saturdays, back in the day, I had this nice whip. I had a 1977 Toyota Celica. I know you folks are saying, oh, 1970, shit was on point, all right? Remember, it was a 1977 Toyota Celica, all right? Green, hunter green with like a brown top, a 5-speed, nasty, all right? So it was a 77 whip, and this was like 1984. So it was not that old, all right? So, and I washed it and waxed it once a week, which, folks, I'm gonna digress for a second. I don't recommend that you ever wax your friggin' car every week. It's not a good idea. Because you know what happens? Wait for it. Paint starts to come off. And that's what I was doing. So anyway, so this particular Saturday, I was doing my thing. I went to the gym. Ugh! Came back. Went to my spot to wax my car. Alright? So I go back home. It's now around 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, evening. And my mom, she says to me, she gives me a message, and her English was not so good, all right, and her English writing was not so good. So she wrote on a piece of paper, and she left on the table for me. She goes, Les call, Les. I'm like, damn, Les call. Who the hell's Les? That was actually Liz, all right. So this chick, she called me. I didn't make the first move. She did. So I called her back and blah, blah, blah. She was like, oh, you know, when can we get together? You're the most handsome man I ever met in my life. If you don't call me, I'm going to find the closest bridge and it's going to be over. I said, no, girl, don't do that. Don't do that. I'll go out with you. I'll go out with you. But you just need to slow down a little bit. But I will go out with you. So we went out. Like, I don't know, maybe, like, I think the following Saturday I planned something because, you know, I was busy, you know, all this money in my pocket. I was busy, I was doing stuff. So, we went out, and I impressed the shit out of her, bro. I just impressed her. I had my A game on, you know, gentlemen, opening doors, pulling seats, keeping dudes away. I was just on my game. She was all in. She was all in. Gave up all her other dudes. She was like, I'm cashing in. You're the one, bro. Guess what? 5 months later, we were married. And that's how I met the girl's mom, all right? Just to put a bow on this little story, okay? I know that I've seen a lot of comments from my daughter's channels that your dad's a serial cheater and this and that. Oh, that hurts, that hurts, that hurts. Because, yeah, I'm no longer with their mom. I'm no longer with this woman who like left me a message 2 days after she met me and wanted to jump off a bridge for me. Yeah, I'm no longer with that woman, but guess what? I was with her for a long time, folks. You know, all joking aside, for you to be in a relationship for as many years as I was, it means that not every year was bad. Not every minute was bad. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to talk to you ladies right now. You're not going to stay with a dude for that long if he's a piece of shit 24/7. You're not going to do it. You know, I know ladies get a bad rap that you know, they let guys manipulate them and, you know, say, girlfriend, you need to get out of that relationship. You know, oh, he's no good, he's this and that. But at the end of the day, girls, you will not stay with a guy that long. You won't. I know you won't. You won't stay with a guy that long if he's not bringing something to the table. So I was bringing something to the table, right? I mean, 30 years worth of bringing something to the table, yeah. And you know what I did? I did this little experiment with myself. Like when we broke up, you know, I was having this moment of reflecting, of looking in the mirror and reflecting. So I wrote down all the years that we were married, and I would say, okay, this year, was this a good year? Yeah, that was a good year. That year, there was some struggles that year. So anyways, I did that for every year we were together. And out of the 30 plus years, wait for this, folks, you ready? There were like 4 years that were really bad. But the rest were okay. So that's why we were together for that long. Because, you know, she wouldn't have stuck around for that long if I was a serial cheater and all that. I mean, the whole serial cheater thing came about as a women like to label things, all right? They like to label things, and sometimes people don't take accountability for everything. So it has to be, it has to be. If a guy leaves and he may have had some indiscretion, he must be the reason. He must be this and that. So you know what? For whatever reason, I embraced it. I said, okay, you guys want to call me serial cheater? Okay, you've got it. I am, all right? I am. But I'm actually not. I was never, and I will never be. And let me tell you something about being a dad of girls, especially girls that you love and you care about, and you even when they become adults, you still stress out about them. Your whole perspective of life changes. It changes completely. When my 2 girls were born, my whole life changed. My whole vision of what a man is and how a man views women changed. I've you know, obviously from the beginning of my story, you know that I've always loved and respected women, and women have been a big part of my life. But when you have girls of your own, that goes through the roof. And to have my daughters utter those words, "You're a serial cheater," is like a dagger to the heart. You can defend yourself, and then sometimes you say, okay, you know, just let it ride. Let them have their moment. Let them have their pain, because in a way they suffer as much as their mom does for me not being around. So I get that. So I respect that. And because I'm a dad and because I love my daughters, I try to be respectful to women. And because I love them and I want them to have a good memory of me when I'm not around, I try to not be that guy that everybody thinks I am. I'm not. Truly, I am not that guy. I am not a serial cheater. All right. I'm a man who's made mistakes. I got married young, and I didn't know anything. Dude. I got married. I was now married. Married? How can you be married when you never really had a real girlfriend? You've never been in a situation where you were dating anyone. You never went through a breakup. You never went through a fight. You never said, okay, I'm all set with Debbie. I'm going to start dating Betty. And by the way, Debbie and Betty, you will hear that name a lot. Those are my fictional girls. And the reason I use Debbie and Betty as my fictional girls, because I'm pretty sure there's no Debbies and Bettys out there. All right, so anyways, again, I digress, but I'm back. Boom, I'm back. Woo! Welcome, Joe. How you been? I'm good. Welcome back. So I'm back. So anyway, you don't have that reservoir of information to go on when you've never lived in that situation. And so I got married and I was kind of just shooting from the hip. All right? And when you get married at an early age, especially when you've never dated and you've never really been with women, and you women are tricky. You know, you guys have like this special sense that, and you know that a guy is like maybe where I was at. And it seemed like after I got married, like everywhere I went, women were hitting on me. I'm like, why didn't you do this like 2 years ago before I got married? Why are you hitting on me now? I remember I used to have this summer job, right? I think I was 19 when I first started, and there was this older woman that worked there. She was absolutely gorgeous. Completely out of my league, obviously. She was like in her mid-20s or something. And I worked in the summer job for a couple of years. And she was still gorgeous. And I remember, and she never gave me the time of day. Well, why would she, right? Then I remember coming back from my honeymoon. I went to the car wash with my wife. And we're doing the car wash thing. You know, I'm happy as can be. I'm just getting back off my honeymoon. So Liz she goes in like to get some cleaners or some shit, or to, I don't know, get some change for the dollars. Who pulls up next to me, right, in this car wash? Yeah, you guessed it. This woman who would not give me the time of day for the last 3 years. But I'm married now. She hops out of her whip. She goes, "Hey, Joe, haven't seen you for a while. What have you been up to? You know, I was asking about you." I'm like, oh. Here comes Liz. I'm like, I'm married now. You can't talk to me like that. She did this 3 years ago. And that's just one of many stories. And it's just like, you women just have this, like this sixth sense that this dude, let's mess with him. But so yeah, it was like a landmine going through. Walk through enough landmines, folks, and you might step on one. And eventually, I stepped on a landmine. Not proud of it, but I did. And it just kind of built to the situation where I'm here today. All right? But I've always been a person that if I'm in a plane, right, and the plane crashes, and I happen to be one of the survivors, after I look around me and say, okay, oh, Harry's gone, Roger's gone, Debbie and Betty's gone, but I'm here. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna make the best out of that plane crash situation. I'm gonna get myself out of it. So that's where I'm at today, folks. That's my story. That's how I met their mom. We got together, had 3 beautiful kids, handsome son, 2 beautiful daughters. I'm very proud of that fact. Nobody can ever take that away from me. But I'm not with her. I'm with you. And this is who I am today, and I'm making the best out of this plane crash, right? That's my first story. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're a new viewer. And as always, thank you so much. Love you guys. Keep the comments coming. You humble me, and I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, peace, love. Keep on striving. I'm out.